Hey guys, can you hear me? Is this working? I don't know. Hey guys, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? All right, well, looks like we're live. Let's double check. Nice. So, bear with me. This is the first time I've ever used OBS, so we're still figuring it out. So, nice. Got a bunch of people here. What's up, Chris? Peter? How's everybody doing tonight? Well, glad a bunch of people made it out. That's awesome. So what we're gonna do is we are going to just cut to the chase, and we're going to draw a winner. Now we actually did have 70 entrants, so that was awesome. And as of right now, let me pull up my channel dashboard. We are 2 people away, 2 subscriptions away from 1,000. So we cut through that last 100 in these last 2 weeks. So that is awesome. So very excited about that. Thank you guys for participating and getting the word out there. So anyways, we are going to go ahead and you guys ready for this? Generate the number and I'll let you guys know who won. I've got it all in a spreadsheet. Let me pull that up real quick. So I'm prepared. There we go. All right, let's do this. Number 14 is going to be Jay Green. Jay Green. I don't have a first name. Last name Green. First initial J. I do have the email address. So, Jay, if you are on the stream, then you have won. If not, I'm going to reach out via email and let you know that you have won the Sebo Felix. Hey, thanks, me and my houseplants. So yeah, so we've got a winner. Yeah, sorry about that, Chris. The whole international thing kind of just adds a layer of complexity that I didn't want to deal with. So it's a little bit difficult. So maybe in the future I'll get that figured out, but you know, this isn't going to be the only giveaway we ever do. So we are actually some fun stuff. We're starting to get some interest from sponsors. So so in any case, there may be more giveaways coming up, maybe. So who knows? But yeah, so just another late night here at the shop, just hanging out. Got some vacuums to do. And yeah, so I'm going to be doing some vacuums and doing some paperwork and doing some Sebo ordering for shipment tomorrow. So obviously for the Felix and then for other stuff, but yeah, so anyways. Oh, come on, Matt. Happy Halloween, Peter. So, somebody playing tonight, and you guys were talking about the Vikings. Best Sebo upright versus best Sebo canister. Your thoughts? Oh, it depends on the application. That's tough. So the So if you have wall-to-wall carpet, like I grew up in California, and at the time, like wall-to-wall carpet was where it was at. Um, so in any case, that we always had uprights, like literally entire time growing up. And in that case, if that's your application, then you can't go wrong with either the X4 or the X7. If I'm going to be honest, I kind of prefer the X4. So I'd go with an X4 Boost. If you have mixed flooring though, like area rugs and some bare floor and some carpet, I'd go Felix all day, every day. Best Sebo canister depends on the size of the house. For anything like up to, anything up to like 3,000 to 3,500 square feet, I'd probably say the E series, the E3 would be the way to go. Um, Larger houses or houses that have like really huge space, a lot of like open spaces where you don't want to have to plug and unplug a lot. The D4 is pretty clutch for those because the cord is super long. You get like 50 feet of cleaning radius with the D4. So you really can't go wrong with that. Also, if you have like a crap ton of dog hair, the bag in that thing is huge. So depends on your needs, but yeah, you can't really go wrong with anything. 50/50 hardwood and carpet. If you're going to go upright, go Felix. If you're going to go canister, toss up between E3 and D4. They're both great machines. If you have large areas or you don't want to plug and unplug, D4 is the way to go. If you want something a little bit more compact and just a little bit easier to maneuver, the E3 is pretty nice. I have an E3 at home, but I only use it in my upstairs. I'll take it downstairs sometimes, but my wife usually uses the her Mila, which is her favorite. So not my favorite, but it is her favorite. I don't know if she'll ever let it go. It's a really good question. Let's see. Vikings are playing Braves versus Astros. I don't follow sports. I don't have the interest or the time. So, go team, go. Whichever team you're rooting for, I hope they win. So, any other questions while you got me on the line, guys? I don't do this very often. We'll probably start doing this a little bit more. I'll probably try to jazz it up a little bit too, come in a little bit more prepared. I think I got about a 20-second delay on this, so if I sit here for a second, it's because I'm waiting for chats to come in. Not to make it awkward or anything. Also, I'm hoping that I can up my sound and video game for these live streams. I tried a more tricky setup and it didn't end up panning out. So right now it's just my webcam and some of these guys just hanging from they're magnetic, so they just hang out over here. The wife's Mila will have to give up on her at some time. It's probably not anytime soon. Like, I take pretty good care of my stuff, so I don't see it. Of course, it is. If there was a vacuum that things were going to go wrong on, it would definitely be her vacuum because it is a brilliant. It's a C3 Brilliant, so it has all the goodies. So everything that can go wrong is already there. So, so you never know. But yeah, eventually. She's used both. She doesn't mind the Sebo, but she, for some reason, just prefers the Mila. Before I bought this shop, we had bought a Mila from the shop that I worked at in high school. And we bought it was an S5, S5? Yeah, S5 Kona. Kona? No, Callisto. S5 Callisto, that's what we had. And she loved that vacuum. And I sold it to a customer who wanted a Callisto. And she was not happy. So I smoothed things over by buying her a Brilliant. So upgrade. Peter, what do I think about Kirby Vacuums? Yeah, like Kirby Vacuums. Kirby Vacuums are weird. They clean the floor, like they clean carpet really, really well. So very good carpet cleaners because they have that direct air motor. So really fantastic there. Are they worth the money versus the cleaning capability? I'm still not sold. If you can find a nice secondhand one, sure. But they're really bringing nothing new to the table, and they really haven't, in terms of motor design, for 60, 70 years. And then in turn, I mean, they've upped the amperage a little bit and changed fan designs, but I mean, like, it's still the basic concept. And then the biggest change that they made was like in the late 80s, early 90s when they came out with the G3, and that had power drive on it. So that was a big advance, you know, because they were heavy as heck. And, but since then, basically it's been the exact same machine since like that time period. So late 80s, early 90s, G3 comes on the scene, and it's been the same like literally ever since. They change aesthetically. They'll add features like LED headlights now on the Avalier, I think is the newest one. But yeah, they just, for the price, I don't think they're, if they were wise, they'd be plowing that money back into R&D and coming out with something new. But, you know, since they were part of Berkshire Hathaway, I think all the money just got plowed back into the corporate coffers. That's what happens when you get bought out by private equity. So they just keep running with the same thing. So, you know, they're not bad machines. They're not great. My biggest beef, I think, with the Generation series that continues up to this day is probably the switch design. The switch is like a old school relay switch kind of thing. It has, but everything is integrated. Like the safeties for the head, the on-off switch, the safeties for the emptor. Like all that stuff is in like this plastic box, and it is like the cheapest little plastic box in the world. And out of everything that breaks other than fans, switches, that goes through switches. So anyways, but yeah, so they could have, you know, made some improvements over the years, but they really haven't. Let's see, Mark, D4 is my favorite for everything. Yeah, I totally agree. Upright, great on carpet, but yeah, D4 is a pretty sweet unit to go with for, you know, just for versatility. Are the D4 X4 good for pet hair? Yellow Lab sheds. Yeah, I get it. So D4 X4, pick your poison. In all honesty, I think the D4 probably outcleans the X4. If you're, you know, if you're looking for ultimate performance, are you going to notice the difference? Is it going to be huge? I really don't think so. But you know, it is what it is. So yeah, I don't think you're going to notice a huge performance difference, but I think the D4 does kind of outperform it. Bag capacity wise, they're about the same. And design wise, they both allow you to fill the bag pretty much chock full and just before they lose performance. So I mean, you're looking at, you know, it'll fill that bag like a brick before you have to change it. So anyways, I think that let me change this. So I think that will you know, either one will work fine for the pet hair. In terms of storage, one word about Kirby Vacuums: junk. Old school. I don't think I'd call them junk. You know, I mean, there are some aspects of them that are well made. I think there are some aspects of them that could have been improved, but they haven't. So I wish they would. Had an old Royal. Yeah, old Royal. My dad had an old Royal. I was a dumb kid and I started working at a vacuum shop. I convinced him to buy a new Sanyo. That's how dumb I was at the time. He got a Performax, and I sold the Royal to a restaurant. Kind of wish I'd kept that around. It was really nice. It was really clean. He'd kept it well. But he'd done janitorial in high school, so he had always loved Royals because he was first introduced to Royals in the 60s in the Long Beach School District. Um, what do you think about rainbow vacuums? So, rainbow vacuums are bad. I I try to mince words a lot with rainbow owners because we like I don't want to say like, hey, you spent a lot of money on this vacuum and it's a bad vacuum, but here's the thing. Let's take Kirby, let's take Rainbow. Kirby is selling you something that, for all the hullabaloo and for all the expense, it's a good machine. Relatively good machine. Has a can do just about everything. You can paint your house with it. You can clean your carpet with it. I mean, you can probably, I don't know what else you can get with them, but they do what they say they're going to do, right? The Rainbow, I think, takes advantage of people who have allergies. And there was a study, I think that it was by Good Housekeeping, might have been by Consumer Reports. This was ages ago. This was back in the 90s, where they tested the filtration. This was back when like laser particle counters were becoming a thing. They tested them, and the old D series, before they had a HEPA filter on them, was just shooting tons of fine dust back out into the air. And what they found out is, you think about how does air travel through water? It travels in a bubble. And it travels through that water so fast on a rainbow that it's able to absorb big stuff. Big stuff falls out of that bubble into the water, but then really, really fine dust, it's essentially just a extractor for super fine dust that spits it back out into the air. And my problem with Rainbow is that for years they sold these vacuums to people who had allergy and asthma issues, selling them as like the best thing that you could possibly have for allergies. They still do that. Where the technology is just really not sound. When they were first designed back in the 40s or 50s, maybe they were better than like just an old cloth dump bag for sure, but not now, not since that time. Certainly not since the advent of like bypass machines, in the 60s. Those were filtering better than Rainbows by far. So sorry, I'm getting really long-winded with this. I don't like Rainbow as company or Rexair because I feel like they're dishonest. If they were being honest, they'd tell you why they put a HEPA filter on the E series. The E series has a HEPA filter on it because the D series filtered so horribly. And the HEPA filters, the dust that you see clogging up those HEPA filters on E series is just horrific. Like the water is not catching much, if it all any of that very, very fine particulate, and it just kind of becomes mud. It's messy, it's dated, and it's not good for folks with allergies. And it's a sealed HEPA system now, so yeah, I mean, like, it's gonna filter fine, but like, so does everything else with a sealed HEPA system. So why would you buy a Rainbow for X number of thousands of dollars versus, you can get the exact same filtration out of a C3 Kona for $8.99, right? So I don't think that the value's there. Let's see. What do you think about the modern Hoover vacuums, especially the Tempo, or known as the T-Series bag upright? They're all right. T-Series is okay. I actually sell, I sell a couple models of the T series here at the shop. I don't really. They're my loss leader, like, budget bin kind of thing. You know, if somebody brings in a super cheap vacuum and it's just completely shot to heck, I have something cheap to offer them that's not going to be a horrible machine, and the T-Series is fine. Are they up to the level of the old Hoovers? Definitely not, but I think out of what if Hoover is making right now, they're pretty decent machines. Yeah, so I think can't go wrong. Hoover is a bigger entity, is interesting to me. I think TTI's floor care division is interesting. TTI is an enigma to me because they've done a really good job in some areas, like for instance, like their power tools, right? I mean, they took Milwaukee from a bankrupt, very niche power tool company that really just sold to plumbers and a couple other specialty trades, and turned them into like the power tool company. Surpassed DeWalt in sales, surpassed some of the more established names. I mean, and in the process, branched out into, they make Rigid, they make Ryobi, which is but in any case, my whole point is they've done a really good job grooming and building that brand. Fantastic job. But their floor care division, they've never really figured it out. I don't know if they really have like a strategy for it, because like Dirt Devil is like bottom of the barrel. I mean, it's right there with Eureka and Bissell for like ultimate cheesy cheap junk machines. And then you've got Hoover, which for most of their models are basically like a expensive Dirt Devil. Some tarted up Dirt Devils, slightly better quality. And they've just kind of run both of those divisions into the ground. I mean, their numbers are probably fine, but they certainly have lost market share to other vacuum manufacturers like Shark and Dyson, and they seem okay with that. They don't really seem to be competing on either technology or advertising, technology with Dyson or advertising with Shark. So, and then of course they own Oric now, and I think they're confused about what they're doing with that. I mean, what was the whole magnesium series? That was a failed experiment. Yeah, so I don't know. They're confusing. I don't know about TTI. Obviously, a 100-ish vacuum isn't going to be great. The $3,000 Rainbow is a dubious value, but any premium dealer, better brand you think isn't worth the money? It's a good question. Let me think. This, like, any other premium dealer brand that's not worth the money? I got one. It's not really a dealer brand anymore, but it's still, in the premium category. And they're getting harder to find, but Electrolux post Electrolux AG taking over, when they just became tarted up Eurekas. Gosh, those are expensive pieces of junk. Pretty terrible. And I'll go as far as to say I don't think Aris is worth the money either. You've got the Lux Platinum, which is a new canister design. Does have sealed filtration, pretty good pickup. It's still using that super old PN5 power nozzle, and like the plastic wands. It's just a cheesy setup, and everything else they sell is like dates back to like the early 80s in terms of design. So I think, yeah, you're spending a lot of money there for Aris with very little return. But they still have the name. Yeah, so. But let's see. T-Series for a cheap vacuum. True story. Didn't TTI kind of like ruin Oric? Yeah, I'd say they messed things up pretty bad. I think they're coming back from it, but I I think they misgauged how to market Auric and kind of what made Auric great. Yeah, Chris, Electrolux. Well, there's Electrolux AG, which makes Electrolux, but then there's Eris Electrolux, which is old OG Electrolux as we remember it in the United States. TTI saved Auric and Hoover. Certainly they saved them from... They certainly saved Auric. Auric was in bad financial straits. I mean, they had been, bought and sold by private equity companies. They were a mess. I think there is a case to be made for TTI saving Auric on the business side. I think there's a case to be made for TTI getting a little bit confused about what they were doing with the products. But I think they're getting that straightened out. And saved Hoover. Yeah, I mean, again, they saved them. I'd agree with you there, Alex. I mean, they saved both of those. They were certainly going under. I think that they have lacked long-term strategy with both of them, though. I think I think they're having to dig themselves out of an even deeper hole that they made, but it's coming back. I mean, the Elevate series is certainly a lot better than the Magnesium, that's for sure. Dyson and Shark Electrolux are expensive for what you get, and I hate them. Sorry to hate, but I hate them. I love Dyson. You know why? I make a crap ton of money off Dysons. So, I make so much money off Dyson repair, it's ridiculous. Because, dude, some guy with a British accent told him that they rock. So they're going to stick with it to the bitter end, and they'll pay really good money for... And listen, I'm not taking advantage of people. I tell them this is probably not worth fixing, and they still fix it. So if I'm straight up with them and say, you shouldn't do this, and they're like, I want to do this, hey, you know what? It's your money. I'm happy to get it running for you again. But yeah, Dyson secretly was the repair shop's best friend. That and Shark is hard though, because like you can't fix sharks. Sharks are bad, dude. I bought, Alex, I know that you bought I think you bought like a Navigator liftaway or something like that. But I bought, because I don't know why, I'm like obsessed with battery stick vacs. I bought the it's the Duo Clean. It's the new cordless Duo Clean fold-away deal. It is awful. It is terrible. Oh my gosh. At home, I'll tell you what I've got at home in terms of cordless stick vacs. I've got a Simplicity S65. I've got a Dyson V8, Dyson V6, Dyson V10. I've got a Mila Triflex. And now I've got this stupid Shark. And the Shark is worse than all of them. Like god awful, just terrible vacuum. On low, like you can hardly feel the air moving. I mean, like literally you can like cup your hand over it, over the nozzle, and just like nothing's happening. And those stupid fins are loud. They sound like something's wrong with the head all the time. You hear this thumpita thwackata, thumpita thwackata, and it's like those little fins turning, and it's driving me crazy. Bought a box of trash. It's kind of how I feel too. Ain't that the truth? But it's like, yeah, it's... Oh, and I forgot. So I used it to clean my house. I did a vacuum with it. I immediately went back over it with the Triflex because I didn't feel like it was doing much, and it wasn't. And then I realized I had picked up a little piece of paper. I'm careful about what I pick up, but they're like maybe under the couch or something. Little piece, like a half piece of straw. It was a straw wrapper that my kids had crumpled up and thrown on the floor because kids are monsters. So they throw it on the floor. I vacuum it up. No joke, it clogged up the hose in the middle of the wand where it folds in half, full on clogged it. It's nuts. Do you need ear protection for the shark? It's not quiet, especially on boost. It's not quiet on boost. I mean, then again, the Dysons are not quiet either. If you want quiet, the Triflex is pretty nice for quiet if you can get over the filter design. What's the best stick vac? Man, I'll be real with you. There's not a best stick vac yet. I mean, I own a lot of them. Probably my next purchase is probably gonna be a V15, just so that I can kind of benchmark it. I've kind of lost interest in the V11. I may have to buy one at some point to do a battery series on it, but all of the Dysons that I bought so far, save the V6, I purchased specifically for battery comparisons. But tell me, I want to run this by you guys. You guys will be kind of like my think tank for a second. So, talking about which stick vac is best, that's a loaded question because we think about vacuums as appliances, especially if you, if you're older, if you're a vacuum enthusiast, if you own a good vacuum, we think about them as appliances. We put them in the same category as like washers, dryers, your refrigerator, right? You expect when it breaks that you're going to be able to get it repaired. There'll be parts available, a technician available, right? With battery stick vacs and robots, we're in a different market category, and what I like to classify it as is consumer electronics. So in the same way that your DVD player or whatever it is, your cell phone. Well, you can somewhat repair cell phones now, but I mean, like, generally, like, if it fries, like, if the motherboard fries, you're done. So consumer electronics, when they break, you throw them away and you get a new one, right? And that's where we're at with stick vacs. So it depends on what you want out of them. Go in with your eyes open that what you're purchasing is of limited lifespan and is a compromise in terms of cleaning for both weight and convenience. There's still always a trade-off there. I think the closest one that I've tested that comes closer to being a total solution, I'll tell you my favorite. It's between the Dyson V8 and the Mila Triflex, and there's things I like about both and things that I absolutely detest about both. The V8 is Goldilocks in terms of Dyson's line. It is the right weight. It's not too heavy, but it has the big battery. It's more powerful than the V6 or V7 without being too much larger. It has a better emptying system. But once you get up into the V10, then they're too big, too complicated, they're hefty, they're just more difficult to use. I think the V8's the sweet spot, and you don't have to spend a crap ton of money to get a V8, which is nice, because they're in the older model line now. But I like, out of the Dyson line, I like the V8. The Mila Triflex I think the Mila Triflex is a fantastic first generation stick. But there are things that need to change, and I'm not convinced as of right now that Mila is interested in changing them. Namely, the filter design is really bad. Now, Mila, at first I thought this is going to be an absolute nightmare because Mila said that you couldn't wash the filters. I have washed the filters on mine, and if you compare it to a Blizzard filter that you can wash, I don't see any difference in terms of the material's construction. I think they're using the same filter media, so I need to put mine through a few more washes to make sure it holds up, but I'm feeling more comfortable saying that you can wash it. But man, you're gonna have to wash that a lot. So yeah. But the nice thing about the Triflex is weight. You can put it in that upright mode. It'll stand up by itself. It's not as heavy to use. It's quiet. It's way quiet. So much quieter than anything else on the market in the stick vac range, and picks up really well. If you got a clean filter in that bad boy, he'll book it. He'll clean good. The other thing that needs to change on the Mila, though, is the hair wrapping situation on the brush roll. They had this issue with the STB 305s that came out, the turbo nozzles with the more aggressive brush rolls. They had issues with hair wrapping on those, and then it's gotten worse in the Triflex. It's a problem area for sure. Sorry, I keep rambling because I just like talking about vacuums. So if you guys are cool with it, I'm cool with it. Let's see. Kristen, we did announce the winner. It was Jay Green. So I apologize that you didn't win, but I do appreciate you. Entering. So thanks for that. Appreciate it. We're just sitting around talking about vacuums, so that's all we're doing now. Let's see. I find that the best stick, Mark says, find the best stick vac is the heaviest one. You can use it to beat home invaders with. I'll actually show you this. Of course, I test all of my stick vacs, and so I have my V10 here, and I washed the filter because it was starting to smell a little dog-alicious, and I brought it here because it actually needs. It's got funk down in the fine dust channel. I'm gonna wash it out here, but yeah, that thing's a beast. Not beast in a good way. Beast like it's huge and heavy. So I do wish that more people would kind of take a note from the Triflex. I never put the Triflex in the Dyson style mode where the motor's up by the handle. That it's really heavy then. But if you put it in the upright mode, that thing's fantastic in terms of form factor. Best stick vac form factor that I've used as of yet. Stick vac would be just for quick hardwood D-Lab hair pickup. Yeah, Paul, totally. That's the use case, and that's why I use stick vacs, is because I've got kids and I've got 2 dogs, right? So literally every day, especially now that the leaves are falling, I've got little junk that's getting tracked into my house and drives me bananas. So just to get those little, bits of leaf and stuff that come in on their shoes, a Cheerio that they spill, that kind of thing, I use them for quick pickup. That's what they're good for. That's what they're really meant for. Could you get away with using it on a whole house? If you had mixed flooring and some area rugs, probably. If you have carpet, no. But in either case, it's a compromise. It's definitely a compromise, and I can tell the difference. And my wife gets mad at me when I use the stick vacs too much, because you can tell a difference between when we clean with a stick vac, especially on the rugs, versus when we clean with one of our mains vacuums. It's a huge, huge difference. Have I tried loop? I have not. I have not tried loop. I was not part of the cool kids that got one for the review circuit. So I'm interested to hear, but Alex already reviewed it, and dude, that thing was loud. Whoa, it was loud. So if it's as loud as it sounds on the video, then I'm probably gonna be a pass on that. Because, man, you shouldn't have to wear hearing protection with your stick vac. Let's see. What do you think about the Filter Queen Majestic System filtration system? Claim to filter better than HEPA, water and ionic filtration. To be honest with you, I'm not familiar with the... When you say Majestic filtration system, are you talking about a home filter, or are you talking about the actual Majestic canister? Because if you're talking about the Majestic canister, they're not going to out-filter a proper home filtration unit. If it was a standalone unit, I'm not familiar with that. AJC, the winner was Jay Green. Jay Green was the winner. Peter says, what do you think about the new Filter Queen vacuum? I actually haven't seen it, Peter, so I don't know. I hesitate to pass judgment on something that I haven't seen. Yeah, so at least they're, at least they're producing something new, which is more than I can say for Kirby. What? Oh, I went there. Kristen asks, I was actually hoping to ask if there are any good anti-hair wrap vacuums that are repairable. Yeah. Yeah, the power fins, man. They're something else. Kristen, you might have tuned in after I was saying I just bought I've been testing it out at home just because I've got a stick vac obsession. I've been testing the Duo Clean 0M stick vac from Shark, and the power fins are, there's nothing wrong with them. They're doing their job. They bother me because they sound like something is broken in the head because they're always like, you're always hearing them thwap against stuff. So yeah, the power fins are better than the 0M comb. I'll say that. The 0M comb left a lot to be desired. The power fins are a little bit better design. That being said, I need to do a little bit more in-depth testing on actual pickup because just my in-the-hand reaction to when I'm using it, I don't feel like it's grooming well. And if I go back over the same area with literally any other vacuum, whether it's mains or cordless, I pick a lot more up. I've got a pretty good idea in my house, kind of like the amount of dirt that I should be expecting at a given interval. So when I don't see that amount coming out, I feel like it's missing something, and usually it is. There's no other company that has a quote-unquote anti-hair wrapping technology, quote-unquote technology. I hate calling power fins technology. I feel like they're making a very complex solution to a simple problem. And the simple problem has already been answered, and that is Sebo. Just get a vacuum that has toolless brush roll removal, like literally one button and the whole thing slides out. You can cut it. You can literally clean your brush roll in, what do you guys think? Those of you who've used Sebos, you can clean it in a minute, 30 seconds, 2 minutes. Super fast, and super reliable, super proven. If anybody has long hair, Sebo, every single time. You cannot beat the toolless one-button brush roll removal. Super easy, but they last forever. And if you're going to put money, I bought mine on sale, but retail on that stupid stick vac I bought from Shark was $450. You can get into a Sebo Felix or a Sebo Dart for $4.99 to $6.99, and significantly better vacuums, and for very little need of maintenance. The amount of time that you're going to spend cleaning filters on, let me put it this way, the amount of time that you're going to spend cleaning filters on the Shark, you're going to have that less time cleaning the brush roll on your Sebo. So yeah. Let's see. Has anyone heard of anything new coming from Sebo, Mila, or any other quality makes? There is a new vacuum coming from Mila. It is called... Rats. What's it called? I forget. There's a picture of it floating around. I'll try to post it to social media. So keep an eye on Instagram. But it looks like, let me put it this way. My wife saw a picture of it and she said that looks like a Walmart vacuum. So Yeah. So, oh, and my wife's on. Hey there. So, but yeah, what it is, it's a little compact. I think that it's really like the Blizzard in the Mila lineup was meant to kind of be in the same, bracket as the C3, I think. And this one is meant more to be in the bracket of the compact series. And it's a small canister, but it is bagless, and it kind of looks like a kind of warped version of a Dyson ball. It has like these giant wheels on the outside, but I don't think that it leans, but I'm not 100% sure. I've only seen one picture of it. Anything new from Sebo? I have not heard anything from Sebo. They're pretty conservative when it comes to release cycles. I mean, when did the Felix come out? Yeah, so I don't foresee. I heard a rumor, and this is a while ago, so it makes me think it was fake. Probably a year and a half ago, that Sebo was doing R&D on I don't know if it's stick vac or a full size vac with a battery packs like Lindhouse. I don't know. That might be in the works. I could see them wanting to get a chunk of that action, because I mean their main competitors are, Lindhouse. You've got and you've got Protein. Protein's got battery, vacs now too. So I could see them wanting to get on that, but I could also see it taking them a while because they're Sebo and they don't produce fly by night stuff. Kristen, I mean, I'll probably have to clean it twice before I can get through my small apartment. I have a stupid amount of hair and it sheds like crazy. Well, Kristen, what I'd recommend is find a good dealer. If you have a good Sebo dealer in your area, if you don't, let me know and I'll see what I can do to hook you up. But find a good Sebo dealer in your area that will let you purchase a dart, but give you a return window with no restock. In my opinion, all dealers should do that. We're competing with Amazon, Walmart, Target, like all these places that will just take back purchases, with no reason, right? And you don't know 100%, even if you've done all of your due diligence, whether or not something is going to work until you get it home. So I always tell people, I don't want you to keep this vacuum if you're going to be unhappy with it. So I would try the Felix, or the Dart rather, either or, same power nozzle. I would try those and see kind of like what what works, and if it is as bad in reality as it is, imagined. But yeah, let's see. Why Shark is still a single cyclone? That is the age-old question. Why the Shark is still a single cyclone? I don't know. It baffles me. It's been why the heck is Mila using a cylinder filter like it's freaking like 2001? I don't know. I don't know why any of them are doing that. It's been well proven that if you have to do bagless, that multi-cyclonic is the way to go. There's no question in my mind about that. From a functional standpoint, the two bagless systems that I prefer most in like a stick vac would be, the Dyson or the Simplicity S65, and both of those use cyclones, multi-cyclones. Shark, I don't know if it's an unwillingness to do R&D on it. I mean, they stuck with it for so long, but now that Dyson doesn't have the patent on it, I don't know why they wouldn't. Maybe they don't. I don't know. My guess ultimately is it's a money and complexity thing. Shark does not like to put a lot of money into those. They'll put a lot of money into gimmicky stuff that they can sell. everybody's familiar with multi-cyclones. If they come out with it now, it's old news. They need to come up with something, brand new, like the Power Fins, right? They're looking for something that's unique to market, because really what they are is a marketing company that makes vacuums. And so they're looking for a unique niche, and multi-cyclonic is not it. So I think that might be part of it, but it's a great question. There's no other way to go. If you have to go bagless, it's a good way to go. Let's see. Michael, love my Mila. What Mila do you have, Michael? Kristen, yes, definitely happy to help. If you have any questions, just let me know, because I'm here to use as a resource. So, and again, I know sometimes depending on where you live and what brand you're looking at, it can be difficult to find a dealer. So if you have issues, let me know. But generally, you should be able to get a good return policy from a local dealer. They should let you try it for at least a week in your house and see whether or not you like the vacuum and whether or not it's going to work for your situation. So let's see, where are we at? How many people are hanging out with me still? Mark, I keep forgetting about the Dart. The Felix just outshines it to me at that price anyway. Yeah, it's a good point. Dart versus Felix, which should you get? The Dart, if money is a concern. It's the best vacuum at the lowest price that you can get that will do hardwoods and carpets, period. Like, full stop, end of story. Like, if you want the best price on the best vacuum with the best guarantee, like you cannot deny the value of the Dart at the price point that it's at. That being said, I do prefer the Felix. The Felix, the biggest thing for me, from a user perspective, will probably surprise you. It's a speed control on the switch. I really like having the variable speed motor. I like it for area rugs. I like it for tools. It's just so handy. So I think that it's worth the extra money for sure. Michael, you've got a Capricorn. Cool vacuum. What's up, John? How are you doing? Yeah, but generally, like I was saying, I'd get the Felix, but you cannot deny the value of the Dart. Let's see, Kristen says there's a local vacuum place nearby. I'll check out. If not, I'll definitely reach out. Cool. Yeah, just let me know. Happy to help. AJC just scored an Electrolux 2100 in like new condition for $50. Nice. Totally bitten by the Electrolux bug. Hey, if you find a clean one of those, like, it'll last you a long time. Yeah, I mean, if it's in like new condition, especially if you check the motor compartment and it's not just like full of carbon dust, it probably means it hasn't been driven. What am I talking about? It means it probably hasn't been used too much. So yeah, I mean, that's a great machine. I've got a Legacy something in the basement that's kind of like that. I mean, it looks like it must have come out of an older person's home because it looks like it's never been used. I've just kind of been hanging on to it for a rainy day. Got some great jokes about stick vacuums. Thanks for refraining, Mark. Keep it kid friendly, although it is 11 o'clock at night. I don't know what kids are still up, but I guess Pacific time it's still possible, huh? I hear that Hoover's going to come out with a new bag upright next month. I don't know. I have not heard anything about that. TTI is not very communicative with the independent dealer channels, so we usually find out about it when you do. What advancement in the vacuum world are you most excited by? It's a good question. Any cool stuff you're looking forward to? I'm intrigued by a couple of things. So as you know, I'm a little bit of a battery vacuum connoisseur, probably to the chagrin of my wife, who, puts up with the amount of vacuums that I have hanging out at the house and that I use on a regular basis. Um, but yeah, so so anyways, I think I think battery technology is going to come a long way. Lithium ion is in its current form is pretty much maxed out for appliances. There's a lot of things in the works: iron batteries, sodium batteries, solid state batteries. I think that there are going to be lighter and more energy dense batteries in the near future. The way the world is going is going to necessitate that. You look at how battery powered cars are taking off. Electric cars. It the you get the most innovation when you reach an inflection point, and I think that we're here. So there's a lot of different companies working on different technologies for batteries, but I'm interested to see what kind of becomes the next step for like consumer choices like that. So I think that that's really exciting. I think eventually using brushless motors and like these new technologies and batteries, that we could potentially get vacuums that compete with mains vacuums that are cordless, and that's really exciting. The other thing that I'm really interested in, and I really haven't fleshed it out too much, is the integration of the vacuum into the smart home. Um, Not in a robot vacuum kind of way. Robots have their place for like maintenance, but they're not deep cleaners, and I don't think they ever will be. The way they operate by design necessitates that they're small, necessitates that they're not going to clean super amazing, right? So, but what I'm interested in, and you've seen a little bit of this on Dyson, you've seen a little bit of this on a vacuum that I'm actually, a company that I'm actually testing right now, Dreamy. Um, they have some interesting takes on automation, reminders on like Dyson will tell you like when to check the filter, which is pretty standard. You can put that on an LED bulb. You don't have to put it on a an LCD screen. But it's interesting that they're offering the idea of tracking how much dirt you're picking up and adding some features in there. The Dreamy, and that's Dreame, that I'm testing right now, is a wet mop, but it tells you what to do. It's really cool. Like, some people might find it annoying, but it has voice commands. Like, when it turns on, it says power on, and then walks you through what it's doing. When you put it in the upright mode while the power's on, it tells you that it's going into standby. When you go to do self-cleaning, it'll walk you through the different self-cleaning modes that it's doing, and then remind you to dump the cup. Super interesting stuff. I think the next step is going to be Bluetooth integration or smart home integration, and I think that you could start seeing a lot more data pulled from your vacuum with regard to that. Things like hours run, right? You could actually track the amount of hours that you have on a filter through your phone on an app. For somebody who has allergies or severe asthma, that's super cool. There's no guesswork. Like it'll tell you. I mean, you could put in a pressure sensor into that and actually tell people when the back pressure on a filter is reaching critical mass and needs to be changed. I think there's all kinds of cool stuff that you can do with that, and I think we're scratching the surface. I think that more vacuum dealers, more vacuum companies need to take that and run with it. I know that may rub some traditionalists the wrong way. I was just kind of talking about the difference between appliance and consumer electronic, and what I'm talking about right now is definitely consumer electronic level. But that's kind of the way the world's going. There will always be a place for the appliances, but on the consumer electronic side, I think that those are genuinely things that could be helpful. And I know that's controversial to say, so if you don't agree, that's okay. Oh yeah, lots of comments while I was talking about that. Let's see. Chris, can you give us a tour? Um, Tell you what, I will do it next time, Chris, because right now I've got a lot going on in the back. I'm a little embarrassed of it. so, um, so hang tight on that. I'll give you a tour at a later date. I promise. Um, can't really beat the Felix, says Nick O. Totally agree. Um, only bad Michael says, only bad thing is the connection between the electrical connection between the hose handle and the power head. Common weak spot, Michael, is it loose? There are some things that you can do to kind of make that better. Or is the whole fitting loose, or is it losing electrical connection intermittently without feeling like the two pieces are loose? Hey, John, thanks for the congrats. Really appreciate it. What do you think about a vacuum repair shop that fixes vacuums and a locksmith? Uh, I mean, there's something to be said for. Eh, here's my thing. I like specializing in things. So you're asking what about adding different aspects to the business. So like being a vac shop and a locksmith, or being a vac shop, sewing shop, right? I've worked at a vac shop, sewing shop, and it's a very, I don't know who started that, but it's a very weird, like, synchronicity between those two, and I don't understand what it is. Right now, we are simply a floor care, home care store, and that's kind of our niche. And the way the world works now is that you have to be niche in order to survive. I think that being all things to all people is a failed experiment. Um, if people are going to buy, and this is what I really struggle with as a business owner, people are going to buy machines that are, above $1,000 from me. They want a premium shopping experience, and you can see this through different retailers like the Apple Store, Dyson, Google's new store in Chelsea. That's very high-end retail, right? It's a new way to sell consumer electronics. If they wanted to come in and talk to somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about and kind of feel like the store's a mess, they could go to Best Buy, right? And so I feel like they're coming here for specialty, and I don't want to be, I want to be the guy who only knows about vacuums and only knows about floor care. Well, that's not all I know about, but obviously that's my specialty for my store, right? I don't want to be fielding questions about locks with that. And I've seen too many other stores try to diversify and fail at it. And I'm not saying that I'm going to succeed by any means. But like the local Oric store, they instead of going into like floor care, home care, when they kind of became an independent dealer, they went with floor care, home accessories. It was weird. So there was like a lot of like just very disconnection. Like, I don't come to the vacuum store to buy t-shirts with cute sayings on them or like fun door stops. So anyways, there's so much that you have to think about as a business owner, and obviously like my model is not going to match everybody else's model, but I do believe that there is something in today's world. The one thing that I can compete on is specialty. Like I can go toe to toe with Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, you name it. I can go toe to toe with them on specialty, and I can beat them every time. That is the one thing that I am bringing to this equation that they don't have. So that's what I try to sell. And adding anything else, adding locksmithing to it, that seems to be adding like another layer of service. And The other thing too is that service is not super profitable, believe it or not. Like, even though service is not cheap, I have to pay labor for the repairs. I have to pay for the parts, right? So I don't make 100% profit on all the parts. Um, and even if you get like a really high end repair, like say I repair a Mila for $200, um, that's not at the same level as selling a X7 for $999, right? So what pays the bills for me is selling new vacuums. The repairing of vacuums is a way that I can remain of service to my customers. I can fix people's vacuums, and I can maintain them as customers, right? I can maintain the customers that I already have. I can gain new customers through the foot traffic. So for me, the repair side of things is extremely important from a credibility standpoint, but it's also a necessary evil because it's not like it's nobody's getting rich off repairs. So I kind of feel the same way about locksmithing or anything else that's service related is in my experience on the retail service side, not it's just not that lucrative. um let's see, sorry, I'm giving super long answers. The Mila Boost CX is the new Mila canister. That is it. Yes, the Mila Boost CX. That's right. Thanks, Nick. Great live stream. Always been a Vac nerd. Grew up with a Kirby in the home. Right on, Michael. I think you fell into one of a few different brands, but I grew up in a royal home, so, it was Kirby adjacent. uh, AJC, still don't understand why the main design for cordless vacuums is a stick vac. It's been shown that you can make an excellent cordless vac by making a traditional upright cordless. It's true, AJC. You're absolutely right. And that's why I'm kind of like, if the rumor that I heard a year and a half ago that Sebo is working on a cordless vac, if that rumor is true, fingers crossed it is like a normal vacuum. I'd love to see them come out of the line. I'd love to see a new take on the Felix that's cordless. Again, I don't know how that'd work with handle weight, but I'll leave that to the engineers to figure out. Excuse me. The next thing is I would love to see a competitor, the cordless Henry and the canister side. I think both of those are really cool niches that we could do a lot with. I totally agree. Michael got a Susie Homemaker vacuum as a child. Sister was pissed she got the Easy Bake Oven. That's hilarious. That's pretty awesome. Let's see. Just for a fun question, do you know of any gas-powered vacuums? Yeah, thinking of trucks that clean parking lots. The only applications that I know of for that, Mark, are for gas-powered vacuums are going to be for industrial uses. Obviously, you've got the street sweepers. That's a kind of vacuum. Then you've also got like yard, like commercial yard equipment. They have vacuums that also run off gas. But I mean, all that's going away too. Here's the other reason why I'm interested in cordless is because it's going to become the accepted replacement for gas-powered equipment, particularly outdoor power equipment, and with that is going to come the ecosystems to make them more workable for in-home. So it's all symbiotic. So we're kind of at an inflection point, but it excites me. Was that product placement for Bojangles? Heck yes. Keep me going. Keep me talking. Maybe that's a bad thing. Let's see. Here in Portland, it's Starks Sew and Vac. Starks is the big one, right? They're like the big guys. It's like Starks and Banks. Let's see. Yeah, Mark, totally agree. If you're going to drop a grand, you want to make sure you get good after sales care for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Chris, I'll try to drop a picture of that Mila boost. It was the picture was floating around out there. I'll try to find it and post it to social media. Um, let's see. Yeah, so Nick, yeah, it does look like a beach ball for sure. The CX boost. Um, yeah, it's already been released in Germany. I think continental Europe pretty much. But this was probably wise on Mila's part. Gosh, Mila is trying to get product from them right now is an absolute nightmare. They do not need to be adding another model to the line until they can supply the United States with the vacuums that we already have back ordered. So until I can get my back ordered vacuums, then please hold off on producing a North American version of the Boost because I just want some product to sell. Let's see. When's it released here? Mila's always slower to release vacs here. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's just simply, to be honest with you, I think it's just supply chain issues. It's not that they always release early in Europe. Like the Blizzard, I don't think was released early. I think they were pretty much released simultaneously, around the globe. Same with the HX1s, I think. So I think the CX, I think the reason why you're seeing a delay between the release in Germany and the release in the US is I think it's purely about production capacity and raw materials. I think that that's really what we're looking at. And the fact that they can't get boats to get all of the vacuums that they already have sold over here. So they don't need to be adding more SKUs to that issue. Thanks, Kristen. Yeah, I know. Hey, vacuum nerddom. I am the king of vacuum nerd. I'm probably not the king. There are people that know way more than me, but it's just it's always been something that I enjoyed, and now I get to do it as a side hustle to my normal job, and um, yeah, and then you get the aspect of like business ownership along with it. So there's a lot here to talk about. Let's see. Michael just says big exclamation point. Oh, you're talking about Starks. Yeah. Yeah. Starks is gigantic. So, I mean, that's the ultimate dream, right? When I purchased this shop, I didn't purchase this shop to just keep it mom and pop, right? So COVID has put a huge wrench in my plans. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a little tough to keep the train on the rails the last couple years. But that being said, I mean the ultimate goal is to grow this into a regional chain of some kind. We serve a huge geographic region, and there's a lot of opportunity for growth. Uh, what's up, house plants in your shop? What's the rough mix of uprights versus canister sales? Um, Roughly three quarters canisters. It's interesting. When I was selling vacuums in California when I was a kid, it was three quarters uprights. We sold very few canisters, and again, that comes down to flooring. Here in Virginia, it is the Southern Gentry way to have a hardwood floor. So, because of that, like canisters are a hot ticket. Also, I find that it also has to do with who your legacy door to door salesmen were. In California, like our legacy salesmen in our area were Kirby dudes. So everybody was used to an upright, plus everybody had carpet. So it just was a match made in heaven. We sold way more uprights. Here, we had um, three of the top performing Electrolux salesmen in the nation here in this geographic area. We have so many old Electrolux canisters. I mean, it is ridiculous. Um, so that's what people are used to. And when you can, show them the difference between, like, say, their Silverado versus a Sebo D4, once they see what life could be like on the other side, they're pretty much sold. But yeah, I think it has to do a lot with like legacy sales, also with flooring. But yeah, we saw a lot of canisters, which was surprising to me. Um, do you have any used Sebo canister vacuums? Not on the floor right now, but I do have an E3 that was traded in. I forget what the situation was with it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's in great shape. I think they opted for. I think they changed houses and they opted for a different vacuum just based on their situation. Anyway, we hooked them up. They were a good customer. Um, but yeah, I've got that guy in the back, but he needs serviced and filters and all that jazz. So I just haven't gotten around to it. I don't really sell used vacuums. That's another thing with my retail philosophy is the last thing I want people to think of when they come into this establishment. And again, I haven't fully gotten away from this, but it's part of my progression as a retailer, right? Is to um, not feel like a used repair store. We're about new retail. So I typically will only sell used vacuums if they are from one of our three main manufacturers, Mila, Sebo, Ricard. And if they are in fantastic condition. Otherwise, it either gets parted out, junked in the dumpster, or sold on eBay. And I don't have a lot of time to sell stuff on eBay, so usually it ends up in the dumpster, I'll be real. What was your opinion on Phantom vacuums? Woo, blast from the past. I've worked on a lot of Phantoms back in the day. Oh man, so many Phantoms, so many motor bearings. Holy Toledo. That was back before Multi-Cyclonic. So let's just say the Phantoms weren't real good about getting the dirt out of the air before it entered the motor, and there really wasn't a whole lot standing between the motor and the dirt. So they sucked a lot of dust. Then, so originally Phantom, they didn't have a pre or a post filter. So basically, they were just pulling a rainbow and just like shooting the fine dust up into the air. When they realized that, they threw a HEPA filter, a sealed HEPA filter on the outside, but all that did was it just took all of that dirt and just trapped it inside the motor compartment. So I mean, those motors would just eat themselves alive. It cracks me up that they are such collector's items now, that they're commanding so much money. And I mean, it makes sense. They're rare now because so many of them got junked. I cannot tell you how many Phantoms I threw in a dumpster back in the day. I mean, like countless numbers of Phantoms that I threw in the dumpster. So I totally get their collectability. I think that's totally a fun pursuit. Uh, in terms of like, were they a good vacuum or not? No, they were not a good vacuum. Not at all. No, it was that was a very early bagless machine in North America, and there were some teething issues. Let's just put it that way. Oh man, Phantom cracks me up. Although I do wish that I could find. I wish that I had gone downstairs when I bought this business and found, just like 3 boxes of like new old stock Phantoms, because I'd be rich right now. Did Mila discontinue uprights? Yeah, they did, Vander. They did. So, Mila's confusing me right now, and I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm a dealer. I like them, whatever. Um, again, business strategy. I know that they have reasons for the decisions that they make, but instead of doing a Gen 2 on the upright series, I mean, they've been making that same vacuum since what, like mid 2000s? And instead of doing a Gen 2, they just discontinued it, and now their upright option is the HX1. Right? Like I mean, the HX1 is fine, but it's not a replacement for it's not a replacement for the U1 by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't know what they're doing with that. It doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, like, were they good vacuums? I think that they were a very good vacuum if you wanted sealed filtration on an upright. I think that they were a pretty decent price for what they were. I do think that they were a little bit over-engineered. When you do need to work on them, they can be a nightmare. But if you take care of them, it's kind of like a German car. If you take care of it, it'll take care of you. If you don't abuse it, those things will do great for you for a long time. If you abuse them, man, they become a nightmare. Oh, man. Kristen, are there any bagless vacuums that you think stand out among other bagless vacuums? I know the technical folks love bagged, don't like bagless, but I know that they have lots of consumer appeal. Yeah, so bagless machines have certainly gotten better than, like, I was just talking about Phantom, like first gen in North America, licensed Dyson bagless tech, single cyclone. They have come a long way. The closest design that comes the design that comes closest to fulfilling the promise of bagless is a multi-cyclonic system, which is what Dyson uses. So design-wise, multi-cyclonic is sound. You run into issues with other things, though, and the main issue is that multi-cyclonic becomes very complex, and you take that complex system and then Dyson adds even more complexity to it. They always do. The air pathways on their uprights are just like bananas. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't think that they would start leaking or get clogged or whatever. So if you have to buy a bagless, like, the multi-cyclonic's the way to go. It's still problematic because you'll find that most manufacturers who make bagless machines are lower tier vacuum manufacturers, and that drops the quality of both their designs and also like how they design everything surrounding everything that goes onto the multi-cyclonic system. So are most good vacuums bagged? Yeah, and that's really due to the fact that they're more reliable. Again, I don't make a fortune off selling bags. My bread and butter is selling new machines. Like, that's where, if I didn't do that, I'd have to close my doors. Like, bags are nice. It gives me foot traffic. It gets me in contact with my customers, and sometimes I get a sale out of it. That's great. But overall, like, people say, "Oh, you're just doing it to sell the bags." Like, bro, if all I sold in a day was bags, like, I'd be in bad shape. So, like, bags are not like this lucrative, like, winner take all market. So I get accused of that a lot. Like, man, you're just trying to sell repeat sales. Brain's a lot smarter than me. Engineers have said for the quality machines, machines that are $800 plus, that bags are a more effective filter and maintain, performance better and are less complicated. So, so multi-cyclonic, as you know, I have a Dyson V6, V8, and V10, so, there you go. I've got those in my house, but I do know how to maintain them. That you have to maintain them, or you're just in a world of hurt. Let's see. It's like an 80s Cadillac versus a new Tacon. Yeah, absolutely. Houseplants. That's a good comparison. Peter, on the E3, shoot me an email on that E3, and we'll see if we can work something out. It's hov@thehouseofvax.com. So yeah, shoot me an email if you're interested in that E3, and we might be able to work something out. In your opinion, what's the best hardwood floor vac? Anything with a twist head on it, man. Like, yeah. So for Mila, it's the Parquet Twister, and there's a similar product on the Sebo side. Those things are awesome. I love them. There's a few people who don't like them. I think they're weird. My dad's one of them, but I love them. Like, you just can't beat the maneuverability, the cleaning ability. Everybody says, "Oh, well, don't they get clogged up with dirt? Doesn't everything?" Like all I do is, as soon as I'm done cleaning for the day, or cleaning the house, just pick up the floor brush, vacuum it off. It takes me 20 seconds and I'm done. And they work so well. I've tried other floor brushes. I've tried other, I've tried the fluffy heads on Dysons, fluffy heads on Duo Clean, Sharks, fluffy heads on Simplicities. I'm not in love with the fluffy head. I'm not gonna lie. I don't fully understand the appeal of the fluffy head. I feel like they can be overly harsh if your debris is like sand. If it's abrasive, I feel like that's a recipe for disaster. I feel like they get dirty and you don't clean them frequently, or people aren't told to clean them frequently. I feel like you lose a lot of suction with them. That's one of my big gripes with them, is that, with fluffy heads, I feel like, I just don't feel like they're efficient. I just don't enjoy them. Maybe I'm old school, I don't know, but, and if you like fluffy heads, I'm not saying they're bad. They'll do the job, like, absolutely, but my favorite is a Parquet Twister. Let's see. Mark, maybe have a future location for used sales. I think the idea of a used vac sale is, I think that it shows people that are buying new. Yeah, so used is interesting. Used is hard because it's not a guarantee, right? So, like, you're not guaranteed like what you're going to get, or if you're going to get quality machines in to be able to rebuild, or if they're even rebuildable, or if you can make any money off them, that kind of thing. It's kind of a crapshoot. I think, I'll be real, something that has interested me, and you would have to set this up properly with the manufacturers, would be a refurbished outlet. I used to work at an appliance warehouse. If you're from the Central Coast of California, you may have heard of Idlers. I worked as a warehouse stocker for Idlers for a while, and they split their business in two. They split it into new sales, which was very high-end, like, high-end appliances, like kitchen design, all that, and then their outlet, which was refurbished and scratch and dent items. And every manufacturer has those. How they get rid of them is depends. Sometimes you'll see channels on eBay, like, Dyson sells refurbs on eBay, and Newegg and that kind of stuff. Mila sells it directly back to dealers. So you can occasionally purchase refurbs. You would have to work a deal out with the manufacturers, though, to make sure that you would have a steady stream, that you'd be guaranteed first pick. But if you could do that, I think that would be really, really cool, to have something like a refurb, scratch and dent, that kind of thing. But you need to be able to guarantee that you've got incoming product. If you can't guarantee that, it becomes a lot more tenuous. What's your opinion on the new Kenmore lift-away bagged upright? It's kind of like a bagged shark, and I think, Alex might have might agree with me from performance reviews. You know, it to me it's like a bag shark. If you have to buy in the shark, you know, milieu, I'd buy the Kenmore because it's bagged. And sharks dust separation technology is horrible. So so yeah, I mean, I think it's a decent machine. I think jury's still out on what's going to happen to Kenmore long term. You know, Concleva. I just wonder how much. I know that I sell a lot of vacuums to people who would be buying a Kenmore now, except for they can't get it through Sears anymore. And yeah, I think they not having a community presence, I think it's hurt them. But you know, maybe they sell enough online. Online is big, so. Let's see here. House plants. Problem with used sales. The quality is that you don't get much stock. Yeah, exactly. That's 100% true, and it's labor intensive. Like if you're not doing it yourself, if you're doing it yourself, you're not really doing it for free. But you may not be paying yourself, but you're spending time on it, right? So, and if you're paying somebody else, then you're actually have money leaving your pocket. So, used is tough, man. There's a reason why used car salesmen get the reputation that they do. You know, rightly or wrongly. It's because the margins are razor thin. Like anything used like that, you know, it gets very, very tough. You really have to fight to make it and not lose money on every transaction, which you just can't afford to do if you want to stick around, keep the doors open. Let's see here. Kristen, is anyone producing multi-cyclonic vacuums other than Dyson? Yes. So a couple companies that have multi-cyclonic. Hoover has a few bagless multi-cyclonic vacuums. Now Bissell has a few. Technology-wise, are they behind the curve versus Dyson? For sure, but I mean, you know, Dyson is a more mature. You know, they've been doing it longer, so it's a more refined system for them. But definitely way better than like a single stage foam filter like Shark uses. So multi-cyclonic, definitely there are some manufacturers. Simplicity, their old bagless upright they used to make, and their S65 both use multi-cyclonic. Yeah, so I mean there are some companies, and a few of those weird Chinese hand vacs that you see floating out there that are like, you know, Tim Kimi and like that kind of stuff, like random names that you don't know what they mean. There's a ton of those out there, and a lot of those are multi-cyclonic too. Let's see. My wife says, tell them how many vacuums we have. I don't know. I've got, well, here at the shop already, I've got the V10. I've got my S6000. I've got a red velvet. So that's 3. 3 belong to me here. And then I've got a U1 in the box in the basement that I'm saving for myself because it's discontinued and it's cool. I don't know. I don't know. As soon as they become discontinued, I want to keep one in the box. And then, so that's 4. And then I've got a Bosch Formula at home, a Bosch Premium at home, the XXL. So that's, 6. Rigid shop vac, that's 7. Hand vac, that's 8. Then I've got 5 stick vacs at home, so that's 12. Then I've got the Brilliant, 13, and the E3, that's 14. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some. I got a lot of vacuums. Well, my wife doesn't know is I don't bring it home as many as I want to, so. Chris, you asked what floor brush I was talking about, the Parquet Twister. I'll go grab it. It's just right over here. this is a knockoff of the Mila, but this is what I'm talking about. So you've got your normal like swing side to side, but you've also got this action right here. And so what that allows you to do is it allows you to get like a full 90. So like if you got the wand in right here and you're going down between like the rug and the wall or something like that, this just makes it so maneuverable. You can just get down flat. It's just, these things are fantastic in all shapes and sizes. Let's see here. Yeah. So Twister Parquet is kind of a general term for it. That's Mila was the first one to design that with Wessel. Wessel's the manufacturer, and then Wessel makes the, even though it's a slightly different design, they make the unit for the Sebo as well. Let's see here. What canister vacuum or canister power head do you feel deep cleans carpet best? Assuming medium to almost shag pile in the US. That's a fair question. I would probably go with, it's a toss-up. I'd go with either a Sebo E3 or a Mila C3. And both of them have pluses and minuses. So the motor on the Sebo E3 is smaller, but it's still competitive. Like its numbers are still competitive in terms of like sealed suction, airflow, that kind of thing. But I feel like it has a better grooming system. I feel like the ET1 power nozzle is like hands down, bar none, like the best power nozzle probably ever made. It has excellent like cyclonic action through the brush roll chamber, really good grooming, height adjustment. It's just it's perfect. So for grooming, the Sebo wins. Flip to Mila on the C3. I've never been in love with the Vessel power nozzles. I just am not. Dirty little secret is out. They're okay. They're fine. They're not anything amazing. I think that they're a very good mid to mid high tier. And that being said, I don't think they groom as well as the ET1. And so I feel like the grooming's not as good on the Mila, but the motors on the Mila are fan-freaking-tastic. The Vortex motors are just, I mean, they're the standard bearers in the industry. For a single-stage motor, you just can't beat them. So, cleaning takes both things. It takes agitation. It takes air movement. Both of those machines have their own strengths and weaknesses. So, yeah, honestly, at the end of the day, I think it's kind of a wash in terms of which one cleans better. But take your pick. At that point, you're splitting hairs. At that point, pick the one that meets your needs best, that is going to make your life easier for you to use it, right? If there's something on the machine that's going to drive you nuts every time you use it, but it cleans the best in the whole wide world, it's not going to make the use process any easier for you. Let's see. What do you think of the Hoover Dimension Supreme of the 90s? This used to be my childhood vacuum. They're cool. They're cool vacs. I like the ones that had all the lights on the back. If I'm remembering correctly, I mean, it's been a while since I worked on a Dimension. Their Achilles heel that just always made them look crappy was that clear plastic window that covered up the tools. That thing always ended up breaking. But they were great machines. They ran a long time. I think for the day, I think they were a really competitive canister, a very good price for a, something that, I mean, it wasn't Electrolux tier at the time, but it was certainly a very good canister at a very good price. Let's see. Chris says, can you use that twister on a central vacuum? Yes, you can, Chris. And I bought a Vesselwerk EBK 341. Dude, don't let me not. When I was knocking Vessel, here's what I mean. I think I was more knocking the fact that Mila, as the design house that they are, with the engineers that they have, they still farm out. I mean, sure, they're made to their specifications, but they still farm out their powerhead manufacturing. It bothers me. like, like you're gonna take a good power nozzle, but it's like the most generic power nozzle in the industry that like literally everybody uses, and that's why all of the central vac companies use them. And you're gonna put that on this machine that you just spent like God knows how much, in R&D creating. It seems incongruous to me, and it's always irked me. If Mila could make a power nozzle on the level of the EBK, I'm sorry, on the level of the ET1, but then hook it up to that vortex motor, oh my, that would be a vacuum. Man, that'd be good times. Let's see. Cool, guys. Well, hey, we've been on for a while, and I wasn't really intending to chat, but this has been great. So I don't know how many people are still hanging out here, but looks like we got 16 folks still in the queue. Let's give it another couple minutes, see if there's any more questions, and I'll probably call it a night. I got some stuff to do around the shop, and I don't want to. I've got my day job in the morning, so I don't, I can only stay up till about 1:30 or 2 tonight, because otherwise I'll be useless tomorrow at my real job. All right. Oh, you were talking about the dimension from the dimension upright. Dimension supreme? Why am I drawing a blank on this? Let's see. Hoover. So I'm trying to reach around to the other computer here. Let's see. Hoover dimension supreme. Oh, yeah. The tarted up elite. Yeah. Gotcha. So that's why I don't know. I just every time I see them, I think of them as an elite. So because it's the same platform. So I mean, again, this is one of those funny ones. I do have a soft spot in my heart for these because I've worked on so many. I mean, they were like they were like the Volkswagens back in the 60s. I mean, like literally everybody had one of these someplace or at some time. So there's a million of them out there, but in terms of do I like the vacuum? This is another one kind of like the Phantom that I think is really funny that it's so collectible now. Because even though I've got a soft spot for them, they weren't good machines when they were first made. They were a pretty cheap machine. I mean, they weren't as bad as the Eureka Bravos, but you kind of fall on one side of that fence or another. But or they were better than the Eureka Bravos, I should say. But yeah, they crack me up because I just threw away so many of these. Fans melting to the back of the fan housings, bad fields, blowing dirt through the fan housing and breaking fans in the process, brush rolls that rattled in the that rattled in the plastic base plates, and then made it, you know, the more it rattled, the more it wore the plastic away, and the worse the rattling got. Melted brush roll end caps, seized bearings. Um, the switch mechanism, the switch comes down from the handle, so the handle has like this little thumb switch. All that is that's just a plastic rod that goes all the way down into the motor, and the switch is actually located in the motor, and this guy activates the switch, this like plastic rod. Those would break. Yeah, and the tools were pretty laughable too. I'm trying to think what else tended to go wrong with. Oh, people would try to change the belt themselves, and there weren't screws on it. It was like a clip-in style, and they'd break the clips off, and you'd have to replace the whole base plate assembly. Oh, and motor mounts. Motor mounts. That small motor mount was always going out on those. Yeah, they were just a basket of problems, but I mean, lovable, because I mean, like when they clean great. So they're pretty funny. But yeah, so anyways, if you're into those, good on you. I've got an Elite downstairs that I am saving for a rainy day. But yeah, it just cracks me up because like at the time, every time one came in, I was just like, oh, what's wrong with this one now? So. Let's see. Chris, yeah, I'll send you a link to the Twister head. Sure thing. No problem. Do you want one for you're looking one for your central vac, right? Is it standard 1.25" fittings? If not, if I don't get an answer, I'll just shoot you a message. All right, guys. Well, oh, I see up here. Yes, you can, Chris. You can make them central vac. You can use adapters. Cool. Yeah, I'll get you hooked up. Cool, guys. Well, it is getting late, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. If you guys like this, let me know. We can do it again. You know, I'll talk about vacuums and business. I love both, all day and every day. So yeah. Anyways, thanks guys, appreciate it. Congratulations again to Jay Green for winning the giveaway, and we'll do this again in the future, guys.